Think about the last time you promised yourself you would stick to a habit. Maybe it was checking your portfolio every morning, setting aside a specific amount for savings, or just staying consistent with a fitness goal. Most of the time, that promise exists entirely in your head. If you fail, nobody knows. If you succeed, you have to convince others you actually did the work. But there is a shift happening where the phrase, "trust me," is being replaced by "check the chain." We are looking at a system called DreamPlay and its proof of rhythm protocol, which essentially turns your daily financial discipline into a verifiable, permanent record on the Polygon blockchain.
It's a fascinating evolution of how we think about accountability. For years, we've had habit tracking apps that use streaks to keep us motivated. Think of the Duolingo Owl or fitness rings, but those are closed systems. They're centralized, and the data is just a number on a private server. DreamPlay takes that psychology and migrates it to a decentralized environment. They're using what they call proof of rhythm to solve a very specific problem in the crypto space. How do you prove that a participant is actually consistent and disciplined over a long period? By anchoring these habits to the Polygon network, the consistency becomes a form of reputation that you can actually prove to other people or even to smart contracts.
The idea of reputation as a service on chain is interesting, but I want to dig into the mechanics. If I say I'm doing something every day, how does a protocol verify that without me just clicking a button and lying? Most habit apps just rely on you telling them you did the task.
That's exactly where the proof of rhythm part comes in. It doesn't rely on self-reporting. The system is built around what they call the Daily Rhythm Hub, and it requires 3 distinct on-chain steps. First, there's the PNR foundation, then a buy execution, and finally, a liquidity provision. These aren't just checkboxes. The protocol actually scans the blockchain for real transaction data associated with your wallet. If you haven't moved the assets or provided the liquidity as promised, you cannot push a kept day. There's no way to game the system because the blockchain acts as the ultimate witness. It's looking for those specific hashes to confirm that the activity occurred before it ever records a streak.
So it's basically hard-coding your financial habits into your daily routine, but why Polygon? Why not Ethereum mainnet or another layer 2? I assume gas fees play a role here if you're asking people to perform 3 transactions every single day just to keep a streak alive.
Fees are a huge part of it. According to documentation from Polygon Labs, the network is designed to offer high throughput with transaction costs that are often a fraction of a cent. If you were doing this on Ethereum mainnet, the gas fees for 3 daily transactions would likely exceed the value of the habits you're trying to build. But on Polygon, it becomes economically viable to treat the blockchain like a ledger for daily life. Beyond just the cost, Polygon has a very robust ecosystem for what we call attestations. DreamPlay uses a specific standard called EIP 712 for its signed proofs. This is important because EIP 712 allows for structured data signing. When you sign a proof of your daily streak, you aren't just signing a random string of letters and numbers. You're signing a human-readable message that confirms your total days kept, your best streak, and a cryptographic nonce for security. It makes the identity part of the process much more transparent.
That leads us to the MapPass ID. It seems like the goal here isn't just to track a streak, but to build a portable Web3 identity. If my proof of consistency is tied to this ID, what can I actually do with it? Is it just a trophy, or is there a functional utility for having a high streak on-chain?
In the DreamPlay ecosystem, it's the gateway to everything. The MapPass ID acts as your immutable on-chain reputation. Think of it like a credit score, but instead of measuring how well you handle debt, it measures how well you stick to your commitments. This becomes vital when you move into the circles phase. A circle is a squad-based accountability unit, 1 leader and 4 rhythm keepers. You can't just join any circle, you have to prove you're worth the spot. The protocol has a 40 out of 48 completion window requirement. You need to have completed 40 out of the last 48 days to unlock higher tiers of circle advancement. It creates a filter. If someone wants to build a billion-dollar business or a serious DAO, they want partners who have a verifiable history of showing up. MapPass gives you the data to prove you're that person.
The social aspect of circles is where this gets a bit intense. You're essentially entering a smart contract with 4 other people. If I'm the leader and I invite 4 people and we all lock in, our streaks are now synced. What happens if one person slips up? Does the whole circle fall apart, or is it just about visibility? I can see the Duolingo for finance comparison they use in their marketing. In Duolingo, the streak is the product. People will do anything to keep that flame alive. But there, the reward is mostly psychological. Here, they're talking about proof of rhythm mining. Does that imply there's an actual financial incentive at the end of the tunnel, or is the mining just a metaphor for building reputation?
It's both, but the roadmap suggests a very literal transition. They've laid out a 4-phase evolution. Phase 1 is just building the rhythm and establishing the baseline. Phase 2 is the circles and the smart contract accountability we discussed. But phases 3 and 4 move into promotions, badges, and eventually tokenized rewards. The idea is that consistency becomes ownership. If you've proven through the protocol that you have the discipline to maintain a streak for months, you aren't just a user, you're a high-value participant in the network. In phase 4, that commitment is translated into token distributions and governance rights. They're basically saying that if you want to help run the protocol or earn rewards, you have to mine your way there through daily discipline. It turns the traditional airdrop model on its head. Instead of rewarding people for having deep pockets, they're rewarding people for having deep discipline.
It sounds like a meritocracy for the blockchain age. However, I have to play devil's advocate. We've seen move to earn or play to earn models struggle because people eventually find ways to automate the tasks, or the token value fluctuates and the motivation disappears. If the goal is financial discipline, but the protocol requires me to buy tokens and provide liquidity every day, aren't I just being forced into a specific investment strategy that might be risky?
That's a valid critique and a tension built into the system. The protocol is definitely opinionated about what discipline looks like. It's focused on buy execution and liquidity provision. For a crypto native, those are fundamental actions for supporting a network, but for a general user, it's a high bar to entry. The defense would be that DreamPlay isn't trying to be for everyone. It's built for those who want to be accountable partners for building blockchain that matters. They're looking for the builders and stakers. Regarding automation, that's where the off-chain to on-chain bridge is crucial. By using Superbase to store the granular daily data and then requiring a signed DIP-712 attestation to push that to the blockchain, they've added layers of verification that are harder to spoof than a simple counter. It's not just about clicking a button, it's about a wallet address performing a specific verified action that leaves a trace on Polygon Scan.
And since all this is on a public ledger, it's transparent. If I'm looking to hire a developer or a community manager for a new project, I could theoretically check their MapPass ID to see if they actually have the follow-through they claim to have. It's almost like a verifiable resume of your work ethic.
Exactly. We often talk about the trustless nature of blockchain, but that usually refers to the technology, the fact that I don't need to trust a bank to send you money. We haven't quite solved the trust part of human collaboration on chain. If I'm in a DAO with 5,000 strangers, how do I know who to trust with the task? DreamPlay is trying to provide the data for that. If I see you've maintained a 300-day streak of liquidity provision and you finalize 3 different circles, that tells me something objective about your reliability. It moves us away from vibes and towards verifiable consistency. They're calling it proof of consistency for a reason. Motivation is a feeling, but verification is a fact.
The technical architecture seems robust, specifically using a bridge between Supabase and Polygon. For those who aren't developers, why is that combination significant? Why not just put everything on the blockchain directly?
It's a balance of efficiency and permanence. Storing every single tiny detail of a daily habit, like the exact millisecond you clicked a button, directly on the blockchain is incredibly expensive in terms of block space and complexity. So they use Superbase, which is a modern backend database, to handle the high frequency tracking. But the conclusion of that tracking, the fact that you successfully completed the day, gets bundled into an attestation. That attestation is what gets signed and sent to the Polygon smart contracts. This way, you get the speed of a traditional app with the immutable forever storage of a blockchain. Once that streak is synced to the Circle registry contract, it's there as long as the Polygon network exists. You don't have to worry about a company going bankrupt and deleting your history.
It's essentially a way to ensure that the sunk cost we put into our habits actually yields a permanent asset. In a normal app, if you delete the app, the streak is gone. Here, the streak is an attribute of your wallet. It's part of your digital shadow.
And that digital shadow is what they're betting will become the foundation for billion-dollar businesses. They mention that specifically in their positioning. The idea is that decentralized organizations fail because of a lack of coordination and accountability. By creating these tight-knit circles of 5 people who are all provably consistent, you're building a more stable foundation for any project. It's a very different approach to community building than just inviting everyone to a Discord server and hoping for the best. It's intentional. It's curated by code.
So we've gone from the daily rhythm hub to the attestation bridge, then into circles, and finally to a map pass ID. It's a full stack system for turning discipline into reputation. If someone is listening to this and wants to start, the first step is really just connecting a wallet and proving that very first day of transactions. It's about making that first mark on the chain.
Right. It starts with one kept day. But the power isn't in day one, it's in the best consecutive streak record. It's about building a history that you are willing to stand behind. In a world where everything feels temporary and digital identities are easily faked, having a permanent record of your own discipline is a powerful thing to own. Whether you're doing it for the potential token rewards or just to prove to yourself that you can stay the course, the protocol ensures that the effort isn't wasted. It's recorded, it's signed, and it's verified.
It's a shift from hope as a strategy to proof as a standard. We've covered the historical context of habit-forming apps, the technical breakdown of the EIP 712 attestations on Polygon, the cultural impact of on-chain reputation, and the nuances of how these circles enforce accountability. It's a fascinating look at how the tools of decentralized finance are being repurposed for human development. If you found this exploration of on-chain accountability and the DreamPlay protocol useful, consider sharing this episode with someone who is looking for a more verifiable way to stay disciplined in the Web3 space.